folks. Here's this debate is explosive, folks. Roland Martin versus Cenk Uger. Wow. And I saw this. I think Roland Martin kind of destroys Cenk in this debate, folks. But he makes good points, and Cenk hasn't really answered him. You know what I mean? 'Cause this is more like he's on here for talking about his book. And I guess is this segment I'm gonna go into. I don't know if there's another segment because it's a 1 hour video, 1 hour interview. I don't know if there was more than that because he just talked about his book in this segment. So this is a 1 hour segment. I guess there might have been another segment where he talked about why he's running, I think. But anyways, let's go into this.
I got an incredibly hard road. Everybody knows that. I'm not a natural born citizen. I'm born Muslim. I'm a talk show host, not a politician. And so I got 1,000 obstacles to get over. But you know what? I'm all over the press and I'm screaming from the rooftops things that everyone agrees with. And whatever show I go on, Roland, it's not just left wing. Even when I go on right wing shows, they're like, yeah, well, higher wages would be good. Lower drug prices would be good. Wouldn't it be amazing if there was actually a fighter against corruption and on behalf of all these issues? You take my attitude, you put it on someone that the press considers quote unquote credible, and that person wins easily. Go fight. Republicans fight like crazy. That's why everybody's going to show up for Donald Trump, and nobody's going to show up for Joe Biden because that guy doesn't fight for anybody.
Okay, so you said one example statewide is a fetterman. You said one example statewide is a fetterman who right now is getting blasted for his position regarding Israel. But you also talk about someone like yourself. Yet when you ran for Congress, you only got 5% of the vote. You can't get it. So if you could not make that work in a congressional race, getting 5% of the vote coming in forward, how do you think that works nationally?
Yeah. So first of all, so you're not wrong to bring that up. I totally get it. I got 6.6%, and that number sucks. Okay. And so you say, okay, why come this didn't work? Okay. So at a local, and then how dare you on a presidential level? Let me explain both sides of it. So number one, at the local level, it's harder than the presidential race. And I know because I just did both. I'm in the middle of doing one, I did the other one. And so why is Congress harder? Because mainstream media comes in, smears the living hell out of you. For me, they call me anti-Muslim when I'm Muslim. I mean, they just lied about every single thing about my past. And if I saw the articles in the LA Times and New York Times and I never knew anything else about me, I would have voted against me. I wouldn't have voted for an anti-Muslim, racist, sexist, etc. guy. But that's not at all who I am. So they just smear you, and then they never give the mic back, Roland. Like, there was no press, no interviews, no nothing. I asked the LA Times, are you guys ever going to write an article about the policy issues in this race? And they literally said, no. We're only going to do the fake scandals against you. They didn't say fake, obviously. And that's it. All we're going to do is smear you. Now, at the presidential level, it's actually a little bit easier to get the mic. And so when you come in at 6.6% on a congressional race, you're going to come in at 0% on the presidential level, right? I mean, at the presidential level,
see, right now he's polling. He's way behind. They never even mentioned him in the primaries. Even they don't mention him that much. They mentioned the other guy, Marianne Williamson, and they mentioned what's the other guy name? They mentioned him, and he's already mentioned. He only has like 3% or something like that. Not right now. He's around like 3%, and like the most kind of the highest, I think. The highest polling for a candidate now. I mean, second highest, I think, is although he's an independent, is RFK Jr. I think he's getting more than anybody else. Even in the Republican primary, I think he's getting more than DeSantis and Nikki Haley. So I think he's second overall. Believe it or not, he's second to Trump. Of all the candidates in both primaries and independents, Cenk is not. You see, Cenk, he's getting like 2 or 3%. I think, right now, or even lower than that. I don't know if he's getting about the same as Dr. West even. He's getting that probably the same. Oh my God. I mean,
You got Governor of Arkansas and Governor of North Dakota coming in at 0 and 1%. We got Chris Christie at 2%. So there's no chance that I'm going to get a number of the presidential level, right? Wrong. What if you got poll? 2%. I'm higher than 3 governors. Why? Because, first of all, Young Turk's a nationwide, worldwide show. So whatever I get in a congressional district, I can get at the national level. But second of all, Roland, is because I'm actually now.
remember, he said 2%. He said did he say he's getting 2%? I don't know. Or was it like right now? I don't know. Or was it back then? I think he's saying right now, so he's getting more than you mentioned, what's his name? The guy in the governor of New Jersey. He just mentioned. Oh. He's got 1%. Oh my God.
A lot of the media. I've been doing a lot of black radio. I've been doing a lot of online shows. I've been doing every kind of show there is. Did Breakfast Club yesterday.
Chris
Here
Christie.
I am, you rolled.
You mentioned
Today.
Chris. You mentioned Chris Christie. That's what he did. He's getting more than Chris Christie. Come on.
And once people hear this message, they're like, oh, someone who's not just going to sit there, someone who we don't have to beg to do things. As soon as Joe Biden wins or any Democrat wins, and what does everybody do? We don't have to beg them to do the things that they promised. We have to push them. Why? We already elected you. Why don't you just do it already? Imagine having a Democrat who's going to get in there and he can't wait to pass bills because who wins is irrelevant. Who cares if it's Jay Huger or Joe Biden or Marianne Williamson? That's just status and title. The only thing that matters is passing bills because when you pass bills, you change lives. Higher minimum wage, lower drug prices.
Yeah,
but we haven't had a Democrat fight like that in 40, 50 years. So the only issue is getting enough media rolling.
Okay, but all right, I get that point, but the reality is you can get a lot of media, but it's not like that still means you get votes.
Exactly. You have to somehow start a movement. He's trying to get. See, Roland's trying to get him, I guess, to understand. It has to be like a movement. I mean, like a real grassroots movement. I mean, to get this going, to get real change. And that's why going third party, out of the duopoly, is better. I mean, but right now there's no kind of movement. I mean, it's kind of died with it seems like this movement, the so-called progressive movement, kind of died, kind of, with the Bernie primary, the 2020 against Biden. That kind of just died out, kind of. No, it has to be more. It has to be restarted, sort of. But now it's not really a movement. Like even Obama, see, it wasn't like it has to be a movement like the Obama. The Obama, there was a movement when Obama came in. You had Obama voters, and it was kind of a movement. And some progressives, and basically progressives and suburban whites too, and others, and middle class, and then working class, some working class people, and it was kind of a movement, and it brought and it took over for a while. But now this is not it has to be like a great movement like that. I mean,
Howard Dean got lots of media. You had help, Vivek on the Republican side getting lots of media. Granted, voting hasn't started yet, but if you look at polling, it's not like he's killing it. But again, it comes down to media attention is one thing. As you said, Senator Sanders got lots of media. I would bring it better again. Senator Elizabeth Warren got lots of media when she ran in 2020. I think her biggest mistake, she should have actually run in 2016. I think that was a big mistake. I get that. But being a fire breather does not necessarily mean people are going to vote for you, and you can only only name one person statewide in the country. You need 270. You got to win states to win.
Right.
And the states that you got to win, you're going to be in places that are not necessarily, fully progressive. I mean that's just a fact.
Yeah, so Roland, let me address a lot of things you said. First of all, you were totally right that Elizabeth Warren should have run in 2016, and she would have won. And so, but that goes actually to the main point, which is you say, hey, only one fire breather is one at the state level. The guy I mentioned, Fetterman, right? But Roland, how many fire breathers have there been? Almost none, because all the Democrats are told to obey. I mean, we got Joe Biden, who's definitely going to lose this election. He's sitting at 37% approval, 59% disapproval. And what do all the Democrats do? They obey. They say, well, okay, I don't mind losing Donald Trump. I don't mind losing democracy as long as we obey the dear leader. And we never raise our voice.
Mind you, I think William Martin's kind of a Democratic shield. So he's kind of going hard on Cenk. But I like it though. But he always goes hard on in his interviews, he always goes hard on people, actually. I mean, but that's good though. He's going hard on Cenk. I mean, but he's a Democratic shield. That's the only thing. That should be a disclaimer, people. I should tell you.
Great trouble. We never do anything that's impolite. There's no fire breathers in the Democratic Party. There's me, and it used to be Fetterman, and now he's been neutered in the Senate as well. In terms of the guys that you mentioned, these are good examples.
Fetterman is a freak. He's always been a phony, a fraud. And he did it for the cash, the money. And it's been bought off. So maybe he was always a fraud. Like some of these so-called progressives are frauds. Frauds, people. I mean, so-called leftists.
He did get a lot of media attention, but he's not rising to the polls. Why? Because his ideas are super unpopular, whereas our ideas are incredibly popular. So when you look at, for example, lower drug prices, that's at 90%. Ending gerrymander, 90%.
Like we're talking about
97%.
We're talking about two liberals debating, right now, folks. They're not so-called leftists. I mean, the Young Turks. They used to be. Nowadays they're more like a liberal, mainstream liberal telecast to me. Right now.
Where's the lead? 84%. You gotta have the fire breather plus media plus really popular policies, and that is all progressives. And in terms of Bernie, the number one reason he lost in 2016 and 2020, Roland, is because he chose not to fight back. He barely laid a glove on Hillary Clinton and Joe Biden. We told him, will you for God's sake attack? And he wouldn't do it. He's just too nice. If you never make the case against the other guy, you're not going to win. JaneForAmerica.com.
But here's the deal, though. When you say justice is coming, how progressives are going to take over the country, and America is going to love it, there's got to be some proof of that. And again, it has to be more than one person. Okay, so fine. Let's go outside of statewide. Okay, who are the folks who are on the local level that's going to go to the next level? Because again, when you come on a presidential race, okay, those are frankly state-by-state campaigns. They're not necessarily national races. They're state-by-state. And look at the politics in that particular state. Whether we're talking about Nevada, Georgia, North Carolina, we're talking Minnesota, we're talking Texas, Florida, we're talking, these different places. All right, so that's really what they are. But you also have got to have a bench. And so where is it? Where's the bench? And if you're going to say take over the country, you got to take over more than one seat. And so where are the multiple candidates? And then the next piece is, okay, if it's coming, where are they being trained? Where are they being raised up?
Yeah. So let me address that too. So I remember when we started Just Democrats, people thought it was impossible. And they said, you're not going to win anywhere. If you win, you get lucky one place, that's it, right?
He doesn't really answer his question. You're going to see, folks. He's going to ask him over and over again. And he doesn't really answer his question. I mean...
As every report I could find, every one of them said you'll either get 0 or 1 candidate sit. Well, what happened next? You want to talk about fire breathers? Well, AOC beat Joe Crowley, the fourth most powerful Democrat in the House. In fact, if she had beat him, he had a Keith Jeffries role. He would probably be Speaker of the House right now. And that was a historic upset when nobody thought it was possible. Why? Because she aggressively told the story of progressive priorities, and people loved it. Who else did we run? We ran Jamal Bowman. He beat Elliot Engel, who's the head of the Foreign Relations Committee. A committee chairman also thought impossible, but it wasn't impossible. You just had to try. Rashida Tlaib, Ilhan Omar, we now, Summer Lee, Greg Casar, we now have 11 Justice Democrats in Congress when everybody thought it wasn't possible. No, all you got to do is fire breather plus popular policies
All right,
plus
gotcha. That's 11. But here's the question: the folks that you named,
Come on. I'm mad.
can they win statewide races? And if they can, show me. Because you mentioned Fetterman. But here's the deal. When I looked at Fetterman, it wasn't just, oh, he was just speaking the truth. He didn't care what he wore. Fetterman also was appealing to those white conservative Democrats in other areas of Pennsylvania. And he was also appealing to folks in inner cities. But again, that's one. Show me where you translate.
I don't know about that, Jordan. I don't think so. He might have been, you have to see the polling on that. I mean, Cenk shook his head kind of. I don't think he agrees. He agrees with me. I don't think that wasn't the main factor, white conservatives. I mean, that might have been a little factor.
11 you spoke of to higher office that goes beyond.
I mean, conservative white Democrats. That's what they meant. That's what I meant to say.
District of 700,000. You had progressive mayors who, when they ran statewide, couldn't do it. And so again, that's just what I'm looking at. I'm looking at right now the attacks on progressive district attorneys. I'm looking at the attacks on progressive mayors. But I'm also saying, and I get that local level, but we're talking about presidential or U.S. Senate or governor. We're not talking about statewide offices.
Yeah. So
yeah, he's right about that, folks. Like the mayors are. The other guy, what's his name, Chicago, is being attacked. I guess he's handling on the migrant problem, but you can't really blame him. We could blame more Biden on that, but he's being attacked.
Here's two things about that. Number one, whenever there is a fire breather, what does the press do? They just go set on a seek and destroy mission.
I like to blame the press. It's the press. The media doesn't like left wing politics. It's a right wing media. We know that, but you gotta. Not always the media. It's not always the media. Sometimes they're just bad candidates or not really so-called leftists. Or they're not really left. Progressive, so-called progressives, like we see here and what's going on with the squad. Right now, everybody thinks the squad is one big fake. I mean, one big deep fake right now. I mean, but like they haven't gone far enough. They haven't gone far left enough, actually. I mean. But the media, see, that's the problem. The media's yeah, but some of these candidates, Fetterman is one example, supposed to be progressive and he's turned out to be a fake. And if you spot that, if you're not who you think you are, and the voters are not gonna, people are not gonna rally around you if you just be just a big fact, a fraud. I mean, they're not. You can't start a movement like that. Or maintain a movement like that if you become out to be a fraud. You don't really believe what you're talking about. I mean, you don't believe. You have core beliefs. You just. I mean, you're just a fraud. No one's gonna rally around that. Rally around you if you're a fraud.
Oh, not still. In fact, when I ran for Congress, the LA Times did an op-ed, and I had a great meeting with their editorial board. And you could tell because in the op-ed, they said in their endorsement, while we agree with Cenk on money and politics and almost all the other issues, we think he's too uncivil. He's too pugnacious.
But how many young voters read the LA Times editorial book?
No. I know. The problem is, yes, there's tons of older voters, and older voters watch MSNBC, older voters read the New York Times, listen to NPR, and they are told, comply. You must pick a super weak Democrat who's definitely not going to deliver for you. A corporate guy makes lots of campaign contributions and is super corrupt, and they believe that nonsense. They need to stop believing that nonsense. Turn off mainstream media and actually get I know who's going to fight for you. CenkForAmerica.com. But
Well,
look,
here's the problem, Jay. If you have more Gen Z and millennial voters today than you do baby boomers and Gen X, it ain't happening.
but it is by 2028, Roland. We're going to have the majority. You're almost giving up before we're about to get the victory.
I'm not.
We're about to get the
I'm not
victory.
giving up.
Do not.
2028 might be too late. How about now? Well, you gotta win now. First off, you gotta win right now. I mean, 2028. But you gotta start something now. I mean, who's gonna be there for 2028? That's what Roland's trying to argue. He's trying to ask you, Jake, who's the progressives gonna be there for 2028? I mean, is there how about and he's gonna mention statewide elections and everything. Where are the progressives? I mean, like, besides the squad and Fetterman, I mean, who's gonna be there to start a big movement so it could be maintained? Then you could get more people in Congress. I mean, that's the deal. I mean,
Snatch defeat from the jaws of victory.
I'm not giving up. Here's what I'm doing. I'm doing the math. I'm looking at I'm looking at Abeto. I'm looking at what happened in Louisiana. I'm looking at places where, yes, you are seeing young voters show up. They showed up in 2020, in 2022, what happened in Virginia, some of the places. But I'm talking about where they are. And the issue that the concern that I had, the big concern that I had, is that a lot of young voters have completely and totally checked out. They make the argument, I'm tired of these older people running everything. And I'm like, guess what? If the older voters are the ones voting, you're not
right now
they're going to be running things. It becomes sort of a catch-22. And so...
See, right now they're checking out. He's right. Because... He's right. These older voters. And they haven't delivered for him. They haven't delivered for the people. And that's why they're checking out also. And that's why they're not checking out on Biden. It's more than that. He's old. I mean, and he's incoherent at times, and I mean dementia. But how about the policies? They haven't really delivered, and so they checked out. And maybe if we had a progressive running, like maybe there might be something there they could propose might be different, but
what you're laying out, when are the people who you're talking about? When you say progressives are going to take over the country, when are they going to show up in mass and do it? You can't go to 2028 when you got super majorities of Republicans in states down in Louisiana, in Texas, Florida, Mississippi, Tennessee, and different places like that. You can't wait when you're talking about gubernatorial races, when you're talking about U.S. Senate races. And so I get this notion of a fire breather, but there has to be results and not just talk. But that's what I'm not seeing.
But Roland, first of all, you just said it. The evidence was in 2020 and 2022. There's no way in the world Joe Biden wins unless the younger voters showed up in large numbers, and they did.
Did those younger voters, though? If I keep hearing Joe ain't the guy, he's too old. Okay, where in the hell were they in the primary then?
He won the primary, Joe.
There were other choices than Biden in the primary, correct?
You mean in 2020?
Yes.
Yeah, I know. That's why Bernie won the first 3 states. Then all of mainstream media and all of the establishment Democrats said, no, Bernie.
Right, where was he in the primary? So you could blame the media, but that's why the primary is kind of rigged. I mean, that's the problem. The Democratic primary is rigged. So you're gonna get that. I don't think there's ever gonna be a progressive people winning. I mean, back then, FDR. Maybe it was the last progressive, I guess, who won. But You gotta change the whole party apparatus because it's rigged against you guys. Yeah, not just the media, and that's it.
He's going to kill people in Central Park. He's a communist. Chris Matthews said that on MSNBC. These lunatics that Chuck Todd started calling him, his supporters, brown shirts and Nazis, even though Bernie's Jewish, and they all piled out together, and they barely beat him. They barely beat him twice, and Bernie wouldn't fight back. So you find someone like Bernie who's willing to fight back, and by the and the demographics are on his side. By 2028, we're going to kill him in the primaries.
Hold on. So you're saying again. So you're saying that you say Bernie didn't fight back. He would disagree. Disagree with that. And look, what you're.
No, he wouldn't. I don't even think Bernie would disagree with that. He knows that his staff gave him notes to attack Biden in a debate in October, and he refused to do them. He loves Biden too much. Oh, my friend. Your friend has sunk the country and is handing it over to Donald Trump. And Roland, you tell me what the alternative is. This Joe Biden guy is definitely going to lose. And we're going to have Trump as president because everyone obeyed the Mad King, this egomaniac Joe Biden. 77% of the country doesn't even think he can survive a second term. He's 81 years old, can't finish his sentence. And we're just going to agree to lose by running this candidate? I've never seen anyone so selfish in my life. So give me anybody but Joe Biden.
Here's the deal. But again, though, the book is not about Joe Biden. The book is about how progressives are going to take over the country. And what I am trying to understand is how and where. If I what you're laying out, again, that's why I specifically asked how many people that fits your description to do this. You mentioned one person. Jay, that ain't.
No, I mentioned 12 people.
That ain't a movement. That's one person. Just one. And so what I'm saying is, if what you're describing is the pathway to victory, that would be more than one.
Okay, let me give you an example, Roland, from the other side. And I hate to do this, but it's reality. Hold on. Let me explain. So Donald Trump, back in 2015, when he announced, did you know that he started at 1%?
Yes, I'm
saying he's at 1%. And at that point, if you were talking to him, you would say, give me one example of a mad populist fire breather who can galvanize the country against corruption, etc. He couldn't have given you any examples.
I don't think it was just that. I'm telling you right now. I think first and foremost, if you look at look at Trump. First of all, let's thank Jeff Zucker and NBC and The Apprentice.
Yeah.
So America has this nonsensical idea that rich people or supposed rich people can do anything. If they're the smartest people in the world. I think Elon Musk is proving that right now when it comes to Twitter that he is not a genius. And so folks love to fall for that. And what you had here was you had someone in Donald Trump where there are no guardrails, there's no bottom, there's no sense of decorum. The moment Donald Trump attacked Senator John McCain as a POW and the Republicans did not make him pay for it, I was like, there you go right there. And I think so what Donald Trump did was he understood and he pushed the racist, sexist, misogynist button of the Republicans in the primary folks, and they were always there. They simply were buttoned up, if you will, because there was proper decorum. And so when that was unleashed, the bottom line is the people he was running against, they were playing by old rules. The guy had no bottom. So that's Donald Trump. Now, if you show me who else has replicated that
That's a great point. Because that's a great point. There's always been like a misogyny and a racism. I mean, in the party. I mean, certain people, Republicans, presidents, but they didn't go as far as Donald Trump. I mean, even past racism. Past GOP race election primaries, you see the convention. There has been like a racism there. You see it, but it hasn't been this like Trump really went overboard, went over the top, blatant out racism. I mean, and it's always been hidden racism and xenophobia in the party, but they don't really. They do like dog whistles. But now it's more than a dog whistle. It's not even dog whistles, it's just out there. But you know, they just say it now. Usually like dog whistles, that's what they used to do.
No, you can't.
Because nobody on the Democratic side ever does, Roland.
No, but it's not just on the Democratic side. is even on the Republican side. Even on the Republican side.
Yeah.
So they thought, oh, with the second impeachment, oh, again, McConnell, I'm not going to vote for it because he's just going to go away. And they realized he's not going to go away because he is appealing to the white nationalist instincts of Republican voters. Why I wrote my book, White Fear of the Browning of America, is making white folks lose their minds. And so I get that. But again, what I'm trying to understand is the type of candidate that you're describing on the left that we're going to see in not just candidates, but multiple candidates. I'm saying I don't see the evidence that you have what you describe. Those individuals running, they're not winning statewide and national races because
they don't even exist, Roland. They don't even exist.
That's my whole point.
Yeah.
They don't exist.
That's it. That's his whole point. Oh my God. That's it. He just made his argument for him. Where are these guys? That's the answer. They don't exist. That's all you have to say right now. They don't exist. That's the answer. That's the answer, folks. Sorry.
Let me explain. So, Roland, you know who can do it? I can do it. All I gotta do is win. Hold on. All I gotta do is win the Supreme Court case.
But you're like 2% in the, or 1% in the primary, Democratic primary, and it's rigged. And you're taking off. You're not even. Joe Biden's declared the winner of Florida primary, and some other states he's declared the winner, and it's all been taken care of. So how do you get through the primary? I mean, you can't even get through the primary. It'll shut you down. So if you're the guy, you can't even get out of it because they're gonna shut you down. Illegally, they're gonna shut you down. I mean, they just rigged they rigged the primaries.
Being a national board citizen, being a non-test part of the Constitution that was amended. The minute I win that case, I light this country on fire because
You're not gonna win
Trump, yes, half his base loves the racism and sexism. Of course, that's only.
That's a long shot to win that case. I wonder what the odds are to if you win in that case. I should look at check it out. Vegas. What are the odds in that? Vegas odds. 100 to 1. 200 to 1. Maybe 500 to 1. Huh.
Thing like Hillary Clinton said that was actually true, the line about the deplorables. But the other half of Trump voters wanted to drain the swamp, and he got hoodwinked. They got conned by a legendary con man, right? He loves corruption. He doesn't.
Yeah. We know that the Trump voters, some of them wanted to, and they want. There's some good people in there, but a lot of them are like not. They are deplorable. I mean, I think he's got to win over. See what Roland was trying to get to Cenk is. He's trying to win over the young people and the base. It's all about the young people, these voters. But now you're abandoning these voters. It's all about the middle. Interesting, he talked in his book about progressives and the young people, young voters. That's the key. But he's trying to. Now he on his show. He's trying to. He's saying now. They should appeal to the middle, so-called middle class or upper class, kind of PMC voters. I mean, yeah. Now he's saying that. So he's going against his book. He started writing it 2 years ago, but so right now he changed their view, or they're more towards on their network. They're going stories towards like the middle class, more on crime, homelessness, different take on it. So they're going away from the young voters. They're going away from the culture wars, which is good in a way, but they are going away from other stuff. They're going more to the middle and other stuff on crime and other things, and which are gonna be they're not gonna track the young people. I mean, now he wants to move the left to the center. See, I don't know how you're gonna move the left to the center, and it's a progressive country. Then you should move it more to the left, but now you're moving it to the right. Doesn't make any sense.
Doesn't hate corruption, but they thought he hates corruption. He gave a middle finger to the establishment and a populist base that exists out there that is totally unaddressed by either party. Loved it. And you gotta get a progressive that addresses that populist base and says, hey, let's actually fight corruption. Let's actually do things that are popular, like higher wages and lower drug prices. And that person, number one, the minute I win the court case, that person is me. I'll do it. I'll be the next race.
But you sound like a guy who says, I can be an NBA All-Star player, but you
he's counting on to win MAGA voters. I mean, that's why he's gonna win. Counting on MAGA voters to win the presidency, which is they could be a part of the voters. I mean, that could be a part of your voters, right? Some MAGA, maybe 2% of the MAGAs. But if you're gonna depend on MAGA voters to win, that's a big it's kind of unhinged. Look, if he's dependent on the middle class, middle of the country, and the MAGA voters. That's all he said they're gonna win, according to him nowadays. But he's just disregarding your base. I mean, the Democratic Party is. That's why they're losing. That's why Biden's losing, disregarding their base. I don't know if Biden doesn't run, Trump might still win, or the Republicans might still win. People might stay home, even if Biden drops out. All the polls say that they're gonna win. Depends who runs. If the Democrat comes in, they'll win. I mean, I guess maybe somebody progressive. And if Bernie comes in, they will rally around Bernie. That might be the only guy who could win. I mean, right now, if he decided to come into the race, I think they would rally. He becomes a nominee. But they're not going to let him. That's the thing, folks. But he's not. But they're just shitting on him and the other Democrats are just shitting on their base. So, and Martin has a great point. Wow, he makes a great point. He made great points here.
Can't even start in the G League. How do you go from getting 6% in a congressional race to actually saying, oh, I can win the presidency?
Yeah.
How?
Yeah. Roland, Young Turks has 5 billion views a year. I've been told every step of the way that I'm not the guy. I'm an outsider. I'm an immigrant. I'm a Muslim. I'm this. I'm that. It's not you, Cenk. It's not you. How dare you try to come up with a media network? Well, now we have 27 million subscribers. 5 billion views a year. What happened? If I told people when I started Young Turks, Dan Rather's not going to hire me. I'm going to hire Dan Rather. They would have thought I was nuts, but I did it.
Cenk, I get the media piece. I started my own. Now I have our own network. We built it from 157,000 YouTube subs to 1.16, and we're still growing. I get all of that. I'm talking politics. And what I'm saying is, it's a stretch. It's a long stretch. Some would say it's one where you need to be committed to actually say, if I got 6% in the congressional race, not I got 38% or 45%, and I came in second. I got 6%, came in fourth. I can win the presidency. But again, I'm going beyond you.
Roland.
Hold on 1 second. I'm going beyond you. What I'm talking about is a broader movement. And I understand those Justice Democrats. But I also look at how right now there are people who are critical of those same Justice Democrats who are saying AOC, oh, she sold out. She's out there and she changed, on and on. And what I'm saying is the model that you described, if you can't...
And a lot of people there at staff, and they lost a lot of staffers too. The Justice Democrats.
replicate that in more than one race, it doesn't work. I'm just simply saying, show me the pathway. I'm taking you, president, out. What I'm saying is, show me the pathway.
Okay, but Roland, let me give you another example. So I gave the example of Donald Trump starting at 1% and then winning the presidency. That wasn't good enough. I gave you the example of 11 Justice Democrats, all told impossible. They all win, not good enough. Fetterman he's the only one that tries.
No, I didn't say not good
and
enough.
he's spectacularly not good enough. Hold on, I'll give you one more example. Let me give you one more example. Okay, a young kid named Barack Obama runs against Congressman Bobby Rush.
Yeah.
And it's humiliated. He gets defeated thoroughly. And if at that point you were interviewing Roland, and you had this mindset, admit that you would tell Barack Obama, how dare you? How dare you? You have no way of being able to do this. You have no pathway. You have no data to back you up. All you've done is lose an election. But he did it, didn't he, Roland?
No. Hold up. How did he do it?
How?
Well, first of all, he tried. Number one thing is get caught trying.
He tried.
America.com, okay?
No.
He tried because there's inner politics going on there. Some kind of undemocratic democratic politics going on behind the scenes. That's how he got this. He's gonna explain it.
No, that's not what happened. He didn't just try. After he lost to Congressman Bobby Rush, then when he made the decision to run for United States Senate, he made a calculated decision, and that is he took a meeting with Illinois Senate President Emil Jones. And in Illinois, there were three major Democratic figures in Illinois politics. There was Daley, the mayor of Chicago. There was Rod Blagojevich, the governor of Illinois. And there was Mike Madigan, who was Speaker of the House.
Went to jail.
Emil Jones was totally ignored. He was deemed to be irrelevant. So what did Obama do? Obama played on his ego. He went to Emil Jones and he said, how would you like to make a United States Senator? That's what he did. State Senator Barack Obama was not a major player in the Illinois Senate. He wasn't. He went to Emil Jones, and Emil Jones said, interesting idea. It was Emil Jones, the Senate president, who was the one who said, all right, I'm stripping all of your names off of these bills, and his name is going on the bills. One of those bills that was racial profiling. The state senator who had been championing that for a long time, Ricky's name last name escapes right now, went off. He was pissed. And Emil Jones literally was like, shut the fuck up. I'm going to make a United States senator. And that's what happened. So when Obama ran, Obama was able to talk about all of these bills that he passed. He didn't actually pass the bills. It was State Senator Emil Jones. And then when he ran, again, very smart campaign, but he also greatly benefited from complete implosion on the Republican side. I'm not saying that they would have won. What I'm saying is that was a pathway. So and now what I'm also saying is the person who you were describing, this hardcore what you're describing, progressive, that wasn't Obama. Obama's persona and how he ran, it appealed to progressives, it appealed to moderates, it appealed to centrists, it appealed to Republicans as well.
Yeah.
And then wait a minute, then he goes to United States Senate, same thing. And so the type of person you're describing, that ain't Obama. And in fact, progressives were highly critical of Obama because they said he was too moderate.
Yeah.
Yep.
No, Roland, about that, you're totally right. I use Obama not as the progressive model. He went in a completely different track. He went in the establishment track.
Yeah.
And he said, okay, I'm going to do whatever these politicians say and whatever the donors say, and that worked for him. But the reason I use
establishment. I was about to say inner, what I said, Democratic insider. Yeah, the establishment route.
but that was a different time. And the reason I use him as an example is after he got after he lost very, very badly to Bobby Rush at the congressional level, everybody thought he was nuts for running at the Senate level. How dare you run for the Senate when he got clowned running for Congress? And then he was only 2 years as a senator when he decided to take on the giant Hillary Clinton. And everybody thought he was crazy, that he had no data to back him up, no pathway, no other person that had done it, right? But that was a different time. We're going the establishment route would have worked. Now going the establishment route, basically for voters under 50 means you're a sellout and you're just doing whatever the donors say, and it's not going to work in the same way. But if you have an Obama-like figure who's a progressive at this moment and is willing to take those chances, and by the way, take the ridicule and take all the mud and all the things that people sling at them, at this point, they can make the exact same kind of run, but on the progressive track rather than the establishment track. But I want to agree with you on one thing.
But I'm not just talking about presidential. What you're describing, so this is very simple. Is this book, Justice is Coming, how progressives are going to take over the country and Americans are going to love it? Is this really about Cenk running for president? Or is this a blueprint? Or is this, if you will, a call to arms for what is going to happen in terms of progressive that you are describing winning nationally, winning gubernatorial races, winning state races, winning U.S. Senate races, winning additional congressional races. And what I am saying is, I get the Justice Democrats. I get those. What I'm saying is, you got to graduate from mayoral wins, congressional wins, DA wins to higher office. And so, who are the people? So let's say you mentioned Fetterman. Okay, who are the folks that we should be looking out for? Give me names of individuals who do you believe are going to be going to the next level to win these larger offices using the model that you laid out? Who are they?
Yeah. So first of all, let me address the thing that you said earlier, Roland. No, this book has nothing to do with this campaign. I started writing this book 4 years ago. It took way too long. It got released months ago. I never looked. This interview got booked a long time ago about the book, and we had delays, etc. Now I never even mentioned the URL where you could buy the book. I never even talk about it now that I've transitioned to the presidential campaign, and I never even thought for a second that I would run. The only reason I'm running, Roland, is because no one else had the courage to run, which goes partly to your point. Look, I asked every progressive to run, they wouldn't do it. Then I publicly asked for the Democratic governors to run against Joe Biden. Then I asked Jon Stewart to run against Joe Biden. I asked everybody and their mother to run against Joe Biden because he's definitely going to lose. He's 15 points lower than when he barely beat Trump last time in the Electoral College. But no one has that kind of courage, apparently. So then it's crazy for me to run. You think I don't know it's crazy? Of course I know. Okay? The reason I'm doing it is because I got to shake people out of their complacency. And I have to show them, hey, look, if I can rise from 2% to 4% to 8% to whatever I can rise to, imagine what you could do if you don't have the issues that I have of not being a natural born citizen, etc., right? Imagine what anybody could do if they actually ran this way. So in a sense, I'm trying to be a role model and try to gather up the courage of these folks. Hey, stop listening to Democratic consultants. All they ever do is tell you to take the cash because they're going to take 15% of it. All they ever do is tell you to behave and obey and comply. Just fight. Give me one fighter, and I'll show you exactly what Barack Obama did, and unfortunately what Donald Trump did.
Okay, and first of all, I've been highly critical of the consultants, absolutely, when it comes to them snatching the money, things along those lines, but I'm going to ask again, okay, the folks that you're describing, who are they? Who are the up-and-comers? If somebody watching and listening to this, and somebody who covers politics, who are the people, who are the names we should be looking out for who are ready to go next level and fit the category or the description that you laid out? Who are they? Where are they?
Look, I think that the 11 Justice Democrats had a real shot at it. But you mentioned something earlier that we didn't get to explore too much, and I want to mention it here. Those folks are creating an issue for themselves, which is that they're not understanding the problem of crime. And so when I say progressive, I mean all the issues that we all agree on as Democrats, all the ones that Joe Biden pretended he was going to do, right? But nobody's in favor of higher crime. And so right now, unfortunately, this culture wars are killing us.
Yeah.
And they're meant to divide us. They're meant to distract us. If you had a progressive that was an economic populist, but was reasonable, moderate, whatever word you want to use, on crime and social issues, that person would win easily. But
so you hear this is the part of life, folks. He's gonna destroy his thing on crime, his so-called crime. That's they're concerned about now going. Then that's why they're losing, because of the crime. It was not even true. Martin's gonna destroy his argument right now.
Unfortunately, a lot of the Just Democrats have not gone in that direction. They've gone full culture wars. And when we talk about criminal justice reform, we talk about letting poor people out of jail who just got busted on marijuana possession. That was an incredible injustice. And you know this better than anybody. White people, black people smoke marijuana at the same rate. Black people get arrested at 4 times the rate. That's the injustice we were trying to fix. But now that, we got folks that they're letting out of prison that committed serious crimes like domestic assault and et cetera. And we can't do that. And it's leading to losses. So if any one of those guys regain their senses on those issues, then they would be in prime position. And any Jamal Bowman could do it.
All right. But you bring that up, though. But again, when you talk about polling data, though, we see where a lot of these younger voters are that actually agree with it. That's one. Two, You mentioned before, you talked about media and how it works. A significant amount of that has been grossly overblown.
Yep.
That was a re-election effort of the DA in San Francisco. And everything like, oh my God, how crime is exploding under the watch, but it wasn't. Right now, you got an effort to recall a black progressive DA in Oakland and saying, oh, her policies are creating this, when actually they haven't. And so a lot of this is, again, look, you had Spanberger who was complaining about this in Virginia. Defund the police is killing us. No, actually, that wasn't it, because there were other Democrats who won. You also just had some Democrats who lost because they were shitty campaigners. That also happened. So I
exactly. Ha! See, he destroys his argument there, folks. He destroys his argument. So-called crime. That's what they always bring up. He bring up they lost because of the crime issue. The Democrats lost. It's not even true. Defund the police. Maybe Ilhan Omar lost. Well, she lost, but she almost lost. Maybe she. And maybe there was another candidate, but the vast majority wasn't because of defund the police. They won. And some candidates they agree with defund the police, and they won. So can you explain that he destroyed his argument right there?
Point about the crime deal, but I still want to know who are 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 people we should be looking out for.
He hasn't really answered the question, right? Wow. There's none, folks. Right now, there's none. Does he answer the question already, actually, Roland? There's none right now.
Well, again, fit your description, who you believe can win statewide, and then who can then win national. Who right now, outside of Fetterman, fits that model? Who?
So, but Roland, you keep going back to the same thing, brother. I mean,
No, I'm not. Here's why I'm saying that. As an African American, and I've been doing this since I was 14 years old. When I was sitting here looking at individuals covering politics and looking at individuals who are up and coming, who are state rep, who are state senators, people who might be a commissioner, who are potential mayoral candidates, who are potential folks who can run statewide. Because the reality is they've got to build something to actually get there. Okay, even if you take an Obama was, frankly, that was lightning in a bottle. I'm telling you right now, that was lightning in a bottle. Okay, to literally go from a state senator to president in a span of 5 years, I mean, that was lightning in a bottle. And so that rarely happens. But that's
not true, Roland. It happens all the time.
That's just president. I'm talking about. If you're talking about the movement that you're describing, there has to be more than one person. And what I'm saying is, are we seeing this? Are we seeing this movement towards what you're describing? And if it is happening, then you can offer me more names who's actually doing it.
He's like,
no, you're thinking about it the wrong way, Roland. Let me address into it.
He's doing pie in the sky. It doesn't happen like that. I think Roland's right. It doesn't happen like that. In politics, no.
Number one, the problem with going from the bottom up, and everybody thinks you gotta go bottom up, The problem is that process corrupts you. So in order to win those elections one by one, what do? You have to go and beg the donors. You have to go beg corporations. You have to go beg rich people. Please let me be mayor, rich person. Please let me be a congressman. Please let me be senator, rich person. Please. By the time you're done with that, you're so dripping in corruption that you're never going to be the lightning in the pot. No, what you actually need is the Obama model, and I hate to say it, but the Trump model. And they were both lightning in a bottle, and they both came up from top. They didn't, you mentioned, Obama lost from the bottom. I hear you on that. But Trump came out from completely the top, and Obama jumped everybody in the fatigues of lightning in a bottle. So I'm giving you precedent of people that came out of nowhere over and over again, and you just won't hear it.
You can't use Trump for Democrats and progressives because it doesn't work. It doesn't work. No one's ever tried it, Roland.
No, it doesn't work. Everyone who's tried it has won.
You actually think.
It's not even true. I mean, AOC and the squad. He's talking about, maybe that's why he's talking about the squad. But then in terms of you see what happened to the squad, and that makes his it fits in his argument. Like the squad being corrupt. You saying that if you bring up from the bottom out, that means they're corrupt then, the squad. But yeah.
That Democrats and progressives are going to respond to a Trump-like Democrat, same Republicans did.
But not to the racism and the sexism and the crap like that. Of course not. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the populist end, where he says, screw the politicians, screw the establishment, screw the system, screw the donors, Now, he doesn't mean it. He doesn't mean it. That's why he's such a poison in this country.
That means
But if you had a progressive who believed that and said that, yes, they would win in a landslide.
And then the one that came closest to it of doing that, you said, well, he didn't go hard enough, and that was Bernie.
Yeah, if Bernie was a fighter, he'd have won easily. In 2020, he'd have won easily. In 2016, he would have been able to pull it out. You know that about a quarter of Trump supporters would have voted for Bernie? Why? Because they're looking for a populist, and the Democrats won't give them one. Give them a populist, and they're going to vote for you. But instead, we keep putting up corpses like Joe Biden. Oh, here's a guy who's drenched in corruption. Here's one that's a senator from MBNA, a credit card company. Go work for this fossil who's obviously corrupt.
Here's why I absolutely disagree. And it is because the problem is, it is what you're describing, that Trump candidate. It's easier to run on the right because the buttons they can push. Democrat progressive voters are simply more broad and have more varied interests. They just do. They just do. I mean,
why did the Democrats stay home? Why did the younger voters stay home? Because we never give them a reason to show up. All of our guys, all of our lives, and Roland, you know this for a fact. Every Democrat promises the moon and the sky, and then they get in and go, oh, there's nothing I can do. I didn't pass any of the damn bills. Because all the people watching the parliamentarian, my mom, my dog, my whore, my dog, and my mother. They suck. They never deliver. Nobody shows up to vote for them. Give them somebody to vote for.
Here's what you were wrong earlier when you said, well, I voted for you. And that's wrong. I have long said that the election is the end of one process and the beginning of another. One of the mistakes that Democrats make, and one of the mistakes that progressives make, is that they do not have a post-election strategy.
Exactly.
When you have individuals who do get in there.
See, that's why you need a great movement. That's why he's talking about. He's trying to, where is this movement? So he could push the politicians. I mean, to do stuff for you. I mean, that's what he's talking about. And there's nothing there.
And when you go through the whole compromise game, what you fail to have is the mechanisms, the machines, the groups that they are applying that level of pressure and challenging them when they're in there. I say this about black people, and I've long said that. Look, when A. Philip Randolph, when he talked to FDR said, "Make me do it." You have to make somebody do it. When MLK said, "We're going to put that, be true to what you put on paper." The problem is after the election, folks are not then saying, "All right, election's over. Now I'm about to ride your ass to actually get it done." Now, that's one thing that has to happen. But the other thing that also has to happen is a fact. And that is Democratic voters are so varied in their interest that it's much easier on the Republican side to frankly put stuff on a bumper sticker when Democrats are totally different. And I just don't believe that what you're describing is going to work on a broader scale because you're having to appeal to so many different interests in order to get to that number.
So let's start. You brought up a perfect example, Roland, MLK. So now Martin Luther King didn't run for office, right? But he was involved in politics, and he put tremendous pressure on Lyndon Johnson. And when the Voting Rights Act and the Civil Rights Act were not good enough, he would not relent. No matter how much Lyndon Johnson and every Democrat in the world told him, "You got to relent, Martin. You got to relent. You're too tough on him." He wouldn't. He pushed him as hard as he could, and then at the right time, he took the deal. You gotta have both sides. You gotta have someone.
But no. There were times though when he also had to buckle to the pressure of the reality. So, for instance, when he went to Atlantic City in 1964, when Fannie Lou Hamer and the Mississippi Freedom Democratic Party, when they were putting pressure on them to integrate that party, LBJ was focused on re-election. He called Ruther, who then said, "You tell King either you accept this deal or we're pulling your money." That's exactly what happened. When King went and told Fannie Lou Hamer and Bob Moses and others who were pissed at him and fired Rustin, well, they had to say, "Hey, take this deal now, but we're going to have an integrated delegation in 1968. So there were moments when King was also practical.
That's exactly what I said, though.
Right, that's what I'm saying. So that actually happened. But what I'm also saying though, is that even he had to accept some constraints, if you will, of course, actual politics. And what I'm saying is, I think the problem for the Democratic Party today is, and actually it's not a problem. That's what's so crazy about this. The beauty to me of the Democratic Party, that it is much broader, it's much bigger, it is far more inclusive than the Republican Party. But the Republican Party is able to have a Trump-like candidate because, frankly, you can press 2 or 3 buttons and they will fall in line. And here's something else the Republicans will do that Democrats will not do. They will fall in line. You got Sununu, the governor of New Hampshire, who's been shitting on Trump left and right. Guess what he said the other day? He said, I'm a Republican. Bill Barr was shitting on Trump in a whole interview about how awful and dumb he was. But when asked if he gets nominated, will you vote for him? He says, I'll vote for him. They, Republicans, understand power. Democrats will actually check out, mad, upset that the person didn't win. Republicans be like, damn that, we want power.
Yep, he's right about that.
As I told you, Martin Luther King and Rustin, who's a genius, they worked together to put tremendous pressure on Lyndon Johnson, and then they took the deal at the right time. They were both. They created a lot of good trouble, and that's the part the Democrats are missing now, and then they were practical at the right time. That's the exact combo that we need, okay? But the problem now is the Democrats don't create any trouble, and they don't push anyone. And the minute Biden gets elected, people say, oh, well, you should just push Biden. And I push Biden, and they go, how dare you? For pushing Obama. You know how much crap I've done? No, the Democratic Party is now totally authoritarian. They're more authoritarian than the Republicans. They all are forced to obey and comply. It's disgusting. They never acknowledge their leaders. And are you talking about they all rally on the Trump side? No, they want Trump using nail. Whereas no one's fighting Biden, even though
he's
right.
He's
no one's daring to fight Biden.
What I'm saying is again, this is
he's right about that. They established the establishment Republicans did fight Trump.
I go back to, frankly, the thesis of your book. When I talk about movements, when I talk about groups, in order to do what you're talking about, it's not actually going to happen with individuals. It happens with movements. And so what I'm saying is this here. What I'm saying, like, for instance, what you're describing, you know what? I thought our revolution would actually do that. And so what I'm saying is this here. I still fundamentally believe that in order for what you're describing to happen, you're going to have to see folk not just only run for president, you got to see it on a statewide level. And I'm not seeing enough of it. I hope it happens, but I haven't seen it. Outside of John Fetterman, you only giving me one name.
So, Roland,
all 50 states.
If you saw Rustin and MLK in '58, you'd have told them there's no movement. You guys have been losing for 100 years straight.
No,
100 years they were losing. 100 years.
No.
And you would say, how dare you?
No. Actually, because again, here's what I understand. And you earlier you talked about how that's even the opposite of politics. What happened with the movement is that if you try to go national, that's not what made it successful. What made it successful is that they went local and built it to national, and they achieved wins.
Actually, grassroots. You start from the grassroots. And he's trying to just... He's saying now he's trying to start the movement from the top. Maybe a figure like Trump to come in. Like he's trying to do like the Republicans do it. Like a figure like Trump come in. But I think there was a kind of a movement there. Even with that, there was kind of a movement. Because the MAGA movement was really the Tea Party movement. But there was kind of a grassroots there. Well, not really grassroots, but it's kind of a fake grassroots, the Tea Party. But there's something there, and Trump came over, and Trump captured that movement kind of, turned it into the MAGA movement. So there was something there. There was kind of a movement building up there in the Republican side. So that's what he's trying to convince Cenk that. It wasn't just Trump. Trump came in and just took over, actually.
Which is why, remember what you just described. I actually asked you that. I said, if you have, again, to fit your definition in terms of progressives who can win, I've said, do you have folks who are mayors, who are DAs, in local offices, are they running statewide? You mentioned Justice Democrats. So the Black Freedom Movement was able to be successful because Montgomery, success. The move to Albany wasn't a success because of the sheriff there. And all of a sudden, they understood how to build successes, how to build local, how to build leaders. And what I'm saying is, looking at your model, I need to see, is that being built? It can't just be built from top.
But Roland, how much more can I do than building Justice Democrats? I founded that. So I
got that. What I'm saying is,
but hold on.
Congressional seats, is that? I'm asking you again. Is that translating into higher office?
So Roland, you're looking at the first third of a movie and going, "Oh no, you can't win because I've only seen the first third." So now when I started 21 years ago, everybody, there was no progressives in media other than black radio, okay? And then and then we built up an empire that was impossible. Then I started, so all of a sudden, it turns out progressives can win in media. And then I started Justice Democrats, and all of a sudden, everybody thought it was impossible. We got 11 in. So that's grassroots, that's building from the top, from the bottom up. So we've done every step of the process. Now I'm doing the presidential, hold on. Now I'm doing the presidential race. So I've done media, I've done grassroots, I've done Congress, now we're doing presidential. What else do you want me to do? Do you want me to write the ending of the movie and then give it to you? And then you go, after I win, you go, oh, okay, I see it now.
No.
So you would stop every movie right in the middle and go, no, not impossible. No, get out of here. No, just taking corporate campaign money, vote for losers like Joe Biden and Hillary Clinton, who lose to Donald Trump, and take all that stupid money and serve the corporate donors.
Cenk, is that it? What I'm saying is this here. The model that you have the model that you have described, in order for it to happen nationally, you're going to have to win statewide races. And what I'm saying is, and I've asked you 3 or 4 times, and you haven't given me any names. But Cenk, I haven't.
The same question in 1958 to us. And we would ask the same exact question. How dare you? How dare you organize the civil rights movement? You can't show me any wins. You can't show me any wins.
What I'm saying is,
He going to unhinge, buddy. He's trying to make a simple question. I mean, it's not the same thing. He's doing an answer.
the next evolution has to be, how do you translate Justice Democrats' wins in congressional races to now statewide and national? That to me is the next challenge. I didn't say it can't happen. What I said is, in order for what you're describing, in order for the thesis of your book,
Exactly.
when you say how progressives are going to take over the country and America's going to love it, is that it is going to have to take folks going to the next level. And when the only person who you mentioned, Fetterman, is the only example who's won statewide. And what I'm saying is, in order for this to happen, there are going to have to be more statewide wins to make this happen.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I'm trying to do, Roland. And why have we interviewed hundreds of progressives on TYT, my network? That, it gets no clicks at all. It's like we try so hard to get those folks press. It's not a thing because of the
I do the same thing. And look, I know what people click on. I purposely don't do gossip. I don't do Zeus Network fights. I don't do stuff that you see on Hollywood Unlocked in the Shade Room and some of the different people, because my whole deal is, if you want to go there for that kind of stuff, that's great. But somebody has to build this here. But I'm absolutely into. I understand, and I've spent significant time studying the Black Freedom Movement, talking to the architects of it, of how it was done. And what I'm saying is, what you're describing, the next phase definitely is going to be statewide. And when I look at what happened to Beto in Texas, and I look at young voters, what I keep telling young voters is, hey, I get it. You want to be excited. You want to be fired up. But here's the whole deal. While you're waiting for that person, shit is being passed and ain't helping you. So you know what? You better get in the game, regardless of whether you get excited or not. Because guess what? Somebody's going to win, whether you vote or not. Final comment.
Yeah, and the reason I brought up the interviews with progressives, even though they don't do well for us, from a business perspective, is because I've given people an opportunity left and right. Every chance I get, I give others an opportunity so they can rise up in the same exact ways that you're talking about. Whether it's Jamal Bowman and Cori Bush and AOC who won, whether it's Leah Turner who lost, whether it's the next Bowman or...
Interesting. He has them on the show and they don't... See, maybe it's these progressives. That's the problem. I don't know. He meant the squad. Maybe it's a squad. Like right now, no one's excited about them. And I mean, the movement kind of is the movement's kind of dying without Bernie, and the squad kind of sold out. So right now, they're not excited about them. I think they kind of failed. So that's why no one wants to see them right now.
Or Turner that comes by, we give them an opportunity at TYT and the Young Turks because we believe what you're saying, Roland, which is we need an army. We need a grassroots army. We need to win in Congress. We need to win at the state level. And at the state level, only one person has ever tried it. It's John Fetterman. So we're 1 for 1. So give me more of those candidates. Let's go run those candidates and give it to me at every level, including the presidential level. And that's why I'm here at CenkForAmerica.com. My site's also BidenIsGonnaLose.com. That redirects my site.
BidenIsGonnaLose.com.
We all know it. We're all on the Titanic. Either grab a lifeboat or turn the wheel. Get somebody other than Joe Biden, because he is definitely going to lose to Donald Trump. And I don't want to voluntarily run into an iceberg. I don't want to hand this country over.
I hope you're wrong, Cenk. Hope you're wrong.
To Trump. And that's what Biden's planning to do with his egomaniacal run. Oh, I need to be a two-term president. My ego is more important than anything else. He's a narcissist. Get rid of him.
Okay, look,
Get a better candidate.
here's the whole deal. Okay, anybody didn't think Biden wasn't going to run for a second term when he ran the first term, they're nuts. The reality is here. When he won, look, I wasn't delusional. I said, if you tripping about Biden being his age now, well, hell, he was old when he ran the first time. He was always going to run for a second
Exactly.
term. The last president who chose not to run for a second term was LBJ. That was going to happen. So I'm not confused. I'm not shocked, confused that he's running for a second term at all. That was always going to happen.
I know. That's why I'm here.
Hell, Reagan ran for a second term. It was going to happen. So it's not like anybody is shocked they ran for a second term. Folks, the book is called Justice is Coming, How Progressives Are Going to Take Over the Country, and America's Going to Love It, by Cenk. Cenk. We appreciate it. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Roland. I appreciate the conversation.
All right. Enjoy.
Thank you, brother.
Mm-hmm. Okay, folks.
All right, Cenk, let's jump in.
That's about a fiery debate in which Cenk loses again. Wow, you can't really see. There's no. Roland makes a great point. Where is this movement? Where are they going to take over? It has to be a movement. I mean, who's going to take over? Right now, Bernie's gone. Who's going to take over the movement? So-called progressive movement. The Democratic Socialist movement. Where is it going? And who's going to take over? Who's going to be the leader? It has to be on grassroots. Roland said it has to be grassroots, and he's right. And it can't be like a Trump figure. But Trump, when he took over the party, there was kind of a grassroots. They were like non-establishment figure. I mean, non-establishment there. Like the voters. They were like the populist movement. There was a kind of populist movement in the Republican. Or like the Tea Party. Some of the Tea Partiers. Former Tea Party voters. And he came over, he took them over. So it was like there was a movement there. But now there has to be, the progressives, there has to be like something like that. There's the progressive, there's some people, there's young people there, so you could start a movement. So there has to be a figure there to come over. That's what he thinks there's going to be a Trump-like figure, but it's going to be harder. Roland's right, it's going to be harder to do that. But there has to be like there's a building blocks there. There's voters there. They need somebody to start it, to take it over. I mean, start it and start local, do it locally first and build it up. So it's sustainable. It's not just falls apart. So it's a sustainable movement. Even and there was Obama, a time of they never talked about the Obama movement. That was kind of a movement, and that was sustainable for a while. Grassroots, build it up. And the people there, I mean, he took over like the progressives and even other people. And there's like grassroots movement. And it took off. So it has to be like a movement, like somebody who organized and take it over, and there has to be a figure. There's certain people go in there. Certain candidates will run for local elections and win. I mean, but there's a movement in Seattle. What's her name? Sharma. In Seattle, the Democratic Socialist Party, I think. They're not progressives actually, but that's another party. That's another thing. But they took over the Democratic Party actually. I think it was in Seattle. And but that's a long way for these guys. But something like that, there has to be a movement. There has to be a movement like that across the country, sort of. But that's really far. They're more far left than these guys though. So that's gonna be a real challenge. But they have to go in there. The progressives have to go in there to go over the party, but from the grassroots. Even Trump wasn't just. There's something there. There's kind of a movement there. Trump just came in and took it over. I mean, came in and guided it, sort of. It became the MAGA movement. So that's it, folks. That's it for this video. It's a long one. I'm out.